So that's breaking news there. The governor of the Bank of Ghana is speaking. Let's hear what he has to say. We understand that the bank has taken over another bank, that's UniBank. Let's hear the governor.
Act 2016, roll out the Basel II, Basel III supervisory framework and ensure the implementation of IFRS 9 by banks, fully implement the new minimum capital requirement for banks, address specific risks from high NPLs, poor corporate governance, and poor risk management systems, strictly enforce fit and proper guidelines for shareholders, directors, and key management personnel of banks and SDIs, strengthen the capacity and resources of our banking and supervision department, strengthen overall financial stability risk assessments, and establish adequate measures to promote stability of the financial system, roll out the implementation of the Deposit Insurance Scheme as established under the Ghana Deposit Protection Act 2016, introduce the banking sector cyber and information security guidelines to protect consumers and create a safer environment for online and e-payment products in line with the government's interoperability objective, and improve collaboration with other regulatory bodies to prevent regulatory arbitrage. To conclude, the outlook for the financial sector is positive, and the Bank of Ghana remains committed to promoting strong, viable, and stable banks, SDIs, RCBs, and MFIs to support the country's growth and development process. In the months ahead, we will engage with stakeholders as we design specific measures to strengthen systems and processes that would improve the industry. I thank you for your attention. Let me stress again that we have just appointed a new management for UniBank. It will be KPMG. KPMG will be taking on the management of UniBank. The bank would continue to run as usual. All depositors' funds are safe. Nobody would lose money. We've proven that earlier. Let me repeat that nobody would lose money in this exercise. All that the bank has done is to put in a new team to manage the bank. We are trying to save the bank from imminent collapse. We are saving an indigenous Ghanaian-owned bank. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Governor. I think it's very clear, and we also want to make the best. So we'll just take a couple of questions, and then we take the conversation and cover your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Governor. My name is Richard Nihanekweabe. I write for the Business and Financial Times. So this is coming on the back of the Capital Bank and UT Bank.
Who is the governor of now saying the takeover of UniBank. Now, the Bank of Ghana has taken over UniBank operations, and of course is giving the very usual assurance that nobody will lose their money. The bank will continue to run as it always has, and that they're saving the bank from imminent collapse, saving an indigenous bank, he says, from imminent collapse. George Riafe is on the floor. Let's hear George Riafe's question and the answer.
Having serious issues with solvency and all the rest, and there were reports about the fact that the Bank of Ghana should step in. Why now? And what is being done to ensure that we don't get here again? Because of now there are even concerns about whether government should or should not issue a bond to take the liabilities of Capital and UT Bank.
My name is Lawrence from CTFM. So this announcement comes as a little surprise to me because we recently heard UniBank say they are taking over ADB. And then today we are hearing they themselves were in serious trouble. They've also stated that they have excess capital of about 600 million Ghana cedis. I'm trying to reconcile all this. Can you tell us the position UniBank stated some few weeks ago telling us now? What is the reality?
The last question.
Thank you. I just want to find out what happens then to the outgoing management of you guys.
Sorry? What was the question?
Yes.
What was the question?
So I wanted to find out what happens. Will there be any action taken against the outgoing management?
Okay, let me try to respond to the questions. I think that these are important. I don't think anybody needs to be scared, as I said. Even in this case, all depositors' funds are guaranteed. Nobody is losing money. So that, in a way, should put all the, issues, anxiety about, getting access to your deposits at rest. But on the question of why now? Yes, I think it's a good question because, as you rightly said, this is not an issue that started today. As I said, since 2015, I got here in 2017. So the people who were here before me had problems. These are things that we have inherited. These are the legacy issues of weak economic management and weak supervisory standards, right? So there are problems that we have inherited that we have to fix. And we worked with them in the last year to try to rebuild capital, right? And this is what we tried to do for most of last year. Unfortunately, I think you would get a detailed press release. Unfortunately, some of the data that we were given were apparently incorrect. So we have had to revise some of the assessments that were made in September. And since October, November, we have been having several meetings trying to give the Ghanaian indigenous banks an opportunity to continue operating. We are sensitive of that fact also. So we were not quick to act because we realized the importance of keeping financial institutions in the hands of Ghanaians. And this really would account for why, as a central bank, we have taken our time before reaching this point. As I said, we are not liquidating the bank. We are saving the bank. We are just replacing the management team, so it's going to be an ongoing bank. And at the end of the day, we expect that the new team there, KPMG, if they are able to turn the bank around, we will have to ensure that it's given back to Ghanaian investors. We are not going to obviously approve a transaction which would mean handing UniBank to foreign investors. I think that is quite clear. I can give you my commitment on that. Whether action will be taken against the outgoing management, it's too early to say. The new team would go in there, then they would try to assess the state of the bank, the assets and liabilities of the bank, and see, if they can try to understand the reasons for why the bank continues to have the capital deficiency and liquidity problems. So it's too early to say. Oh, the issue on the takeover of ADB. I think we all saw what happened about a week ago. I think the UniBank announced that there were about 4 or 5 other investors in ADB that were pledging their shares to UniBank with a view to selling those shares to recapitalize. It turned out that they did not even have approval for some of those acquisitions. And as you know, these are things that are within the realm of the SEC. We are not sure how long this tussle will go on. We are not sure even if UniBank would realize any resources from those shares. So I think that one could safely rule out using those particular shares to recapitalize the bank. It also makes assumptions about the share price, which nobody knows. I believe they suspended trading of the shares.
All right, thank you very much. As I said, we have
detailed
elaborate press statement on this, and now we're giving to you in a few. Just to follow
getting off, trying to escape from some of the questions or some of the final questions that the participants they want to ask. But he's basically talking about the arrangement, the sort of arrangement that's the basis for the takeover now. He says there was a weak management, there was weak supervision, there were very low standards there. He says that when he took over, data that was transferred to him was apparently incorrect, and so they're looking at all of those issues. But what they're doing is they're not liquidating the bank. They're only giving Ghanaian banks, he says, an opportunity to keep operating. They're replacing the management team with a team from KPMG, and then as time goes on, they will transfer management to Ghanaians. He also says that it is too early to say whether or not action will be taken against the previous management team for the capital deficiency that he says the bank suffered. And you recall about the UniBank saying that they had pledged their shares to recapitalize. He spoke about that as well. He says apparently there was no approval for that sort of arrangement. But our business desk will bring you some more and more analysis on that as well. So that's the breaking news this hour. The breaking news is that the Bank of Ghana has taken over administration or management of UniBank. We can hear the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, in his final, what's supposed to be his final comments.
Ghanaian banks are not doing well. I think the issue has to do with some banks, yes, some Ghanaian banks have had weaknesses in terms of the way the banks were managed. In the case of UniBank, if you take UniBank, it had 41% of its deposits. These are deposits that are coming from government institutions. Banking is about mobilizing private sector deposits, not public institution deposits. Similarly, if you look at the bank's model, most of the lending was to government contractors. And as the colleague from Joy FM raised, these are some of the arrears that we have had in the system. So one of the things we did was to take care of almost 422 million of government contractor arrears for which interim payment certificates have been issued. Even when you take account of that 422 million, the bank still needs money. So the problem is bigger than the government arrears situation. So I hope that answers the question from Joy FM. But we have a whole program for the rest of the week. There will be interactions with the staff of the supervision department. The deputy governor in charge of financial stability would be on TV to give more details to the appointment of the administrator for UniBank. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Governor.
So it appears that it's a done deal. The UniBank has been taken over by the Bank of Ghana. We understand, according to the governor of the Bank of Ghana, it's going to be managed by KPMG, after which it will be transferred to a team of Ghanaians. We're not sure who will be on that team, but what we know is that if you have any money in UniBank, you're not losing any money. The Bank of Ghana says that the bank is going to continue operating as it already has. He says they're not liquidating the bank, they're just giving it an opportunity to get back on their feet. According to him, there had been weak management, weak supervisory standards, and of course some information he says was handed over to him when he took over was incorrect. There'll be more in a subsequent bulletin.